Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Planet Lizzdom. This is episode 42. Can you believe that? That's wild. I'm so happy to say that we had some audio issues earlier, but we got them fixed, and I'm so happy to have the show with you guys tonight. And we're all doing it from our earbuds. So, you know what? You go with the flow and you make it happen. There are some writers, musicians, and creatives and artists that come along and they'll surprise you over and over again. But this particular guest that we have tonight, he is one of those phenoms. And, I met him a while back when he was shooting Retro Toy Tantrum with my boyfriend Mysterion. And over the past few months, I've really had the pleasure to get to, discover that he is multi-talented and so creative on every level. And he's a really cool dude too. There's a really amazing quote that I want to read you before I introduce him. And he on his site, he says, in my music, I tell stories. Many shine a light on the underbelly of this world. I stand with anyone who is oppressed and underrepresented today and always. I can't even say that word, underrepresented today and always. Guys, I want you to give a very warm welcome to the amazing and the really awesome Cactus Vella. Hey, Cactus, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how's it going, Liz?
Good, good. I thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so glad that you could make it tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's so awesome to be here.
It's so funny with these earbuds. I didn't realize how much bass was in the music of everything that I'm doing. It's like my face is melting, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta pay attention."
It was pretty bassy, totally.
Very bassy, a little bit hot, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, you know, there are so many things that I want to kind of go over with you tonight, and I'm very proud to be wearing one of your shirts tonight. Da-da-da-da.
Oh,
Um, you know, what I mean, I'm very much an origin story kind of gal. What brought you to music? Where did that come from?
oh, it was always in my house growing up. My father had a really cool guitar laying around that he would play when I was younger. That he would play like so after work, after dinner. Sometimes he would just go sit on his bed and play these like Johnny Cash, Stompin' Tom type songs. And then in the car we were always listening to classic Rolling Stones. That was like our whole house was either Johnny Cash or Rolling Stones most of the time. So it's hard not to pick that up. And because he didn't push it on me, then it was very intriguing. It was this thing that was there. He never said, learn how to play guitar or whatever. I mean, he bought me guitars, but he just kind of just put them there and like left me alone. He didn't push it on me.
Okay, well, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, totally.
Now, I myself am a child of the 70s and I grew up in the 80s. So,
Yeah,
more often than not, I would be sitting in front of the record player looking at the record sleeves. And that's really kind of how I got to know music. And apparently, my parents had a very big love for folk music. That's where I, learned about Peter, Paul, and Mary and things like that.
right, right.
How did you come to, your music? How would you describe it as acoustic punk or, it's how would you describe what your sound is?
Yeah, acoustic punk or rebel music. It's a tough genre. My life is there's these 5 minutes that exist in my life that are pure hell, and that's when I'm putting new music on, say Spotify, and I have to pick my main genre,
Yeah.
and I'm like, fucking hell. And I've actually had this conversation with a few people. A good friend of mine, Adam Sewell, who runs Stereo Dynamite recordings, he'd argue with me. He's like, what do you mean you put your song under acoustic or folky or whatever? He's like, it's fucking punk. He's like, who's your fans? Your fans are punks. You're a punk. He's like, acoustic fans aren't just going to be drawn to you. So it's always interesting. But I'm like, I'm playing an acoustic guitar and I don't have a drummer. I don't know what to do.
I think as artists, it's always hard to categorize ourselves because, we're never just one thing.
Right, right.
And something that I found out very recently about you because, I have to creep you if I'm going to interview you. You have a label actually that you have started. If I am correct in what I've found out, is Anxiety Attack Records?
Recordings. Yeah.
Recordings, sorry.
Yeah. We call it a label. I'm not a label. There's real record labels out there. I'm just a guy who's trying to have some fun. That's all it is. And, bring some people together and do some fun projects musically. But I mean, I leave the real record label to the pros.
So. Well, hey, it starts somewhere, and
yeah, for sure.
That kind of passion, I think, is the most exciting to me because there's no hidden agenda or any kind of agenda except for making the music.
That's right.
And I want to talk about what you've just recently put together. Let Me Go, an acoustic punk tribute to Rancid.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. Tell me about that.
Okay, so it was just this conversation that was happening between me and my buddy Ty. We were communicating. Ty's living in Mexico these days with his wife and kids, and we were communicating, talking about what we have musically, and he mentioned that he has a Rancid cover he's been working on, and asked me if I still do mine, and I said yeah. And we were like, would it be neat to do like a split Rancid cover? And then we were just like, let's just do a whole fucking tribute album. So I just started reaching out to people who I've worked with in the past a lot, and then people who I've wanted to work with but haven't had a chance to yet.
That is so cool.
And then kind of just treated it like I wasn't going to tell anyone what song to play or how to play it, right? My only condition was like, please no electric guitars. Let's keep this acoustic, right? But
okay.
So I'm not telling anyone how to play or what to play. I'm just kind of picking the people that are going to play, right? So I'm like trying to build a neat community right there. Just like, oh, these people, this person complements this person, and it's total contrast to this person. Like, it's kind of fun. Feel like, that's the only thing I'm producing right there. Then it's up to everyone else. And people delivered. Some of those covers are so good.
I actually have a commercial that you put on YouTube that I would love to play, just so that everybody can kind of get a little bit of a taste of what it's going to be like. Here we go. Let Me Go, the Rancid covers.
Your antenna's pointed in the right direction. And I say, do you know where the power lies?
With the music execution and the talk of revolution.
Doesn't wanna know who's talking to me. But I've got a new perspective on you. Good morning, heartache. You're like an old friend. Journey to the end. Destination unknown. Fall back down. You're gonna help me back up again. Direction, I need no direction. Whoa, Sammy, now the war is over. Up off with radio.
Smokey's playing tricks again.
Black coat, white shoes, black hat, Cadillac.
When I got the music, I got a place to go.
Let's make it as it may seem. You're the poison, you're the poison.
Wow, what a lengthy compilation. You got a lot of people on board.
It's like 20 people, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I gotta ask, because you were saying that you didn't necessarily assign a song to anybody. Did you ever have overlap where certain artists did the same song?
No, well, that was as people picked their song, I had a master list where I would just resend it to people going, okay, these songs are now off the table.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a musical potato salad?
No, a couple people asked to do the song I did. And I was like, I already got it recorded. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you get first pick.
Yeah, exactly.
I
did take first pick.
No, why Rancid? Why did you choose them?
Oh, well, like I said, it just kind of came up organically in our conversation with me and Ty. But also, I mean, Rancid's a cool band. I've always liked them from the very beginning. I think universally, a lot of punk rockers like Rancid, and it works. It lends itself to the acoustic guitar really perfectly. Like there was everything's in nice open chords a lot of the time, and major compositions, and lyrically, it's really cool. There's a lot to work with. There's some bands where you're like, if somebody was to say, hey, can you cover a song by this band, you might have a tough time. There might be only a fraction of the songs that actually you can even play or that work for you in your style. But Rancid, I found I can just go on Google and bring up an album's worth of chords of theirs, and I can play along to almost every song.
Cool.
They're good, they're campfire songs almost if you strip them down, right?
You know what? You're absolutely right. They are campfire songs.
Yeah.
I want to go to that campfire.
It's a good campfire, definitely.
Now, I have to make sure that everybody knows. Go to anxietyattackrecordings.bandcamp.com /album/let-me-go.
Yeah. And yeah, and you know what? I'm looking right now at my stats. We're like 100 clicks away from breaking 5,000 plays already.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like 5,000 combined plays. So like some songs got like 400 plays, some songs got 100, but add it all up, and we're almost at 5,000 already. So it's I'm pretty proud. It's pretty cool.
I've got goosebumps, guys.
Yeah.
Let's get it up to 5,040 in the next
Nice.
10 minutes. And
Nice.
listen, if anyone has a question for Cactus, this is the time to ask. Please jump on the comments and ask away, because this show is for you guys, and we're learning all about Mr. Cactus Vella here. Now, I have to tell you, the song that you wrote, Shipwreck, it has become my new anthem. I'm not even going to lie about it. I cried the first time I heard it.
Really?
Oh yeah, it spoke to me so hard, because and I, with your permission, I'd like to play that full video that you have posted, because it's the way that you write is very true to the heart, and I think that's why I've listened to it about 30 times in the past 12 days.
Wow.
Because it's a song of hope. At least it is to me, especially with this pandemic. I feel like I'm out in an ocean, like the ship is sinking. Like I have no idea where I'm going, but I know that my homing beacon is on, and that all I can do is trust in the process and trust that the tide will carry me in.
Right, exactly.
And I think this song is absolutely perfect acoustic, and with your permission, I'd really like to play it, because I want everybody to feel the same momentum that I felt. So guys, turn up your volume, crank it up, because I want to introduce you to Shipwreck.
Like a shipwreck, I was ruined. I'm just a pirate buried to the sea, and I was slowly sinking in the ocean's murky heat. I was lawless, illicit, and awful, always rude, never technico. Spoiled with a black heart, sailor searching for gold. I don't care if we sink, let this ship go down tonight, 'cause I know I'll be alright. I don't care if we sink, let this ship go down tonight, 'cause I know I'll be alright. Sure, we've all had better days, we've lost a few along the way, but I can't think of them anymore. I've paid my dues and I've found peace. I've risen up off my knees and made my way back to shore. And somewhere along the way I met an angel by the bay. She said, you don't have to live like that. And I'm still a pirate at heart, but I've gotten a new start, and I ain't ever looking back. And I don't care if we sink, let this ship go down tonight, 'cause I know I'll be alright. And I don't care if we sink, let this ship go down tonight, 'cause I know I'll be alright. I don't care if we sink, let this ship go down tonight, 'cause I know I'll be alright. And I don't care if we sink, let the ship go down tonight, 'cause I know I'll be alright. I'm making my way back home. Whoa.
Oh my God, it's such a great song. I was totally jumping around.
Oh, I gotta tell you something really quickly before I forget. So at the very beginning of the video, when I'm walking to that super cool clubhouse where I'm about to play in, you
Yeah.
can hear a child in the background, like a little small squeaky voice. That's my daughter.
Oh.
Because that is filmed in my backyard. That's my tool shed.
Oh my God, that's wicked.
Yeah, so we filmed that right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I called up my buddy Dom, who is a great videographer, and he filmed he did my first video as well. So I'm like, and this is when nobody was going out, right? A lot of people weren't even leaving their own properties, right? And I was like, hey Dom, like, you want a project? And are you cool standing 6 feet away from me? And he's like, yeah, totally. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, let's film a video as DIY as we can, and you just, one man crew, right? He's like, what's our location? I'm like, my shed.
I love it.
Yeah, I just grabbed some toys and
and I've got the goosebumps. I mean, it's so perfect because it's so understated but so powerful at the same time,
Thank you. It was fun.
Absolutely, thank you. And I have to say, I love that you're wearing a Johnny No Cash hat. Love him.
No, I'm just wearing that's just Johnny Cash. That's just
Johnny
Cash.
That was Johnny No Cash. Sorry.
No, that's.
I love Johnny Cash too. Wolfman say that he was always a fan of your work, particularly To Pump Louie and Sinking Ships. And I just wanted to very quickly touch on that. Actually, you have performed with a huge pedigree of musicians here. If I remember correctly, everything from Black Flag to oh my gosh,
gigs bands I've opened up for, and
bands you've opened up for. Bad Religion, I think. Like, let me go back to this list. There's a huge long list of people. Oh my gosh, where do I even begin?
There's a good amount of them. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
You get to a certain point, and you start getting asked to play with bands that you've always admired. It's a good feeling.
Now I have to ask, have you come across anyone that you were a little bit tongue-tied to be around or perform in front of?
Not really. I mean, I've gotten to become friends with some people who I grew up listening to, like namely like Leatherface. I mean, I've been a fan of Leatherface since like 1992 when I was in high school, and they were like this obscure UK band that you only met the odd person that knew them, but anyone that knew them loved them. And then somewhere in the late 90s, I hopped in a car. Group of friends, we went down to the States and we followed them on tour for like 4 or 5 days. They were on the road with Hot Water Music, and got to know them, and then over the years visited them, and they came here individually, and then eventually they come on tour and ask us to do a week with them on the road, and like just become friends. And now to the point where like we message and we chat. It's kind of cool. It's a good feeling, and like music did that. Like playing in a band did that for me.
That is very cool. And I know you were, you were mentioning that, you actually have had the opportunity to design for them now as well, because you are a graphic designer.
That's right. So I'm doing we got some projects on the go. I can't really, there's like a re-release or two coming out, some good stuff, probably do some new shirts. And there's a couple other things that are brewing. So it's a lot of fun getting to do design work for them. Definitely.
That is very
Graham
cool.
And Little Rocket Records specifically.
Oh my gosh. Well, please definitely keep me posted on that, because that's a big deal. That's really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I also have had the pleasure of, getting to know someone that I was a huge fan of when I was 17. And it is a very extraordinary thing to be able to message that person as a friend. Yeah, to say, totally, how are you today? As opposed to, I don't think you're amazing. I mean, you still think they're amazing, but now you're just like, yeah, stub my toe, whatever. Or, I spilled coffee on myself. How's your day going?
Totally, right? Yeah.
No, that's really cool. Now, going back to music, because I think music is where I'm really so blown away by you. I mean, your visual work is amazing, and what you do with Retro Toy Tantrum is fantastic, and I can't plug that enough, because oh my gosh, you make it such a cool show. Like, not that Mysterion isn't a cool host, but you guys are playing to each other's strengths, and you make it a real destination for toys.
Totally. Okay, cool. Thank you. I also just love getting to work with Mysterion. I've known him for so long. I think we met in like 93 or 94, and our bands played together. I've known Mysterion while he was like the guitar player in the Oi band and the punk rock bands.
Oh, yeah?
I knew him when he was a wrestler, and
Okay.
and everything in between, promoter, and
Now,
now like the most awesome mentalist, right?
oh yeah, and toy collector, and
Toy collector, yeah.
best boyfriend ever. Toy collector.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that you can still work with people that you've known for that long. With your musical history and your very creative eye. What do you have on the horizon? Because I know pre-COVID, certain things were certain way. During COVID, you've clearly been blossoming and doing really well for yourself. What's next on the horizon for you?
Oh, thanks. I have some recordings I've been working on. I have probably 4 finished songs like recorded, just like that just need to be tweaked in the mix, and then I have maybe like 6 more that need vocals still. So I've been working slowly at it, but like I have a child and I have a full-time career, so like things get busy.
Yeah.
But I always try to make time for it. I'm still enjoying just writing out the feeling of the compilation, the Rancid tribute, obviously, but definitely working on some music. And so I used to play in this I don't know if we call it a band, a collective called Whiskey Hearts.
Okay.
So basically Whiskey Hearts was a group of people that would get together every month at the same venue for like 3 years, and we had individual sets and group sets, and it was like a really fun party to be a part of, and we were all doing acoustic and banjos and upright bass and the whole everything, right? And then we did a little record, and then we kind of stopped playing. Before we stopped playing, we went in the studio and recorded 3 more songs, but we never finished them. And I recently was gifted the unfinished recordings, and we're finishing them now on our own time at my place. So there'll be some new music to come out from Whiskey Hearts in the next, I don't know, 6 months or something.
Amazing. And where can people find that? Can they find that on Anxiety Attack Recordings as well?
I'm not sure what the plan is yet, but it'll be out somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
Still have to work it out.
Because I wanted to talk about cactusvellamusic.com.
Okay.
Is this kind of the hub, the main hub to find all of your recordings?
Yeah, it's a good place just to go for that. Exactly. There might not be a link to every recording, but there's definitely information about them.
Because I also found you on Spotify,
Yeah.
which I wanted to kind of just show everybody. Because, I'm still kind of old school. If I know what the screen looks like, I know that I found the right thing. So I actually screenshot that on my phone. I'm like, this is what the Cactus Vella, Spotify page is going to look like.
Yeah,
so
8 monthly listeners. Let's bring that number up.
Woohoo! Hey, man, that's better than none, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm happy with 8.
Let's bring it up to 12 tonight, guys. Come on. But what is it like to put your music up on Spotify?
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah?
It's neat. Yeah, it's neat when you try not to get into the weeds of things, but every now, maybe once a year, I'll look at in the dashboard,
Okay.
right, and then like it'll show me a map of the world and where people are listening to me, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, I've never been to Brazil. I'm glad somebody there wanted to listen to me once. Just little things like that, right?
Well, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it is neat. It's like it's fun, regardless if you have 10 strangers or 10,000 strangers listening to you. I think it's still pretty cool either way.
Absolutely. I love that technology allows us to do this now. The fact that I can sit in my home and chat with you in your home and then, broadcast this to everybody else's home, that still blows my mind. I think that's
Totally.
so cool. And I love that it's never been more accessible to be creative and to release that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's really interesting. Like, I love sitting here looking at you, and you've got your mic, and I can see that you're in your studio element there, and that,
Yeah.
like you can perform at a moment's notice because you've been able to make that space for yourself.
That's yes, that's great. And that's exactly what I did. Right in front of me, I have my keyboard.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of guitars there, and I have half a drum set, oddly enough, because I'm building a drum set.
As one does.
Yeah, of course, right? I'm trying to do it with as little money possible. So
And
I've traded things. I found things in an alley. I traded a hat for a kick drum.
Okay.
Did some graphic design work for a couple cymbals.
And that is exactly how you do it. Bartering is the new money.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
It really, really is.
To
But
me, it's fun.
speaking,
Like, sorry. Yeah,
oh,
I was like, I'm building a drum set from nothing.
and actually, that makes it much more exciting because I mean, you're playing those drums. You're like, I earned this, with my brain, and I went out of my way and I wheeled and dealed, and all of a sudden, everybody has an ownership of your drum set, and it's exciting. Um, Now, before we continue, I just wanted to kind of make sure that I've covered all the things that I had planned to talk to you about, and I really think that what you're doing with your music right now is so important because it is I think sometimes we get a little too caught up in the tech.
Right.
Things are overly produced, or they're just big displays of look what I can do with this thing. And something that I really do like about acoustic music is that it's you and your talent. You really kind of have to you got to work hard to play an instrument and sing at the same time. That is not easy. And I've tried. Like me and the ukulele, we have a long way to go. I'm just gonna say that right now. I should probably practice that daily if I ever hope to do a song.
Ukulele is great. You only really need to know 3 or 4 chords, and you can play quite a bit on it.
It's true. My problem is
Yeah.
that I'm terrible at holding it, so I have to sit it on my lap. So I'm like, well, if I ever perform, I have to sit on a chair. There's no walking around.
Next time I'm over, I'll show you a few things on it if you want.
I would be very glad for the lesson. Before we continue, I just want to play a couple of commercials and then we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Hey everyone, Planet Lizzdom now has a Patreon. Your help will allow Liz to make the show even bigger, cover costs, and help bring on celebrity guests. Go to patreon.com/Planet Lizzdom and pledge now.
Yes, here at Planet Lizzdom, our musical selections are very eclectic. From acoustic punk to techno.
Awesome.
Now, I forgot what my question was going to be now. Too busy laughing. Okay, so you're putting together a drum set. What other sort of things are you looking to kind of bring into your wheelhouse, as it were?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I'm actually, okay, more so than that, I'm building a jam room. So the drum set is for the jam room that I'm building.
Nice.
We have a little cottage up in Wasaga Beach, and just like I'm gonna put a jam room in here. And
Yeah.
so I've been putting stuff together for the last basically the rehearsal factory at Queen and Bathurst got sold, and that's where I used to rent my room. And I went by on the last day when they were closing, and I got a little tip, and I was told if you go stand in the back alley, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of equipment that no one claims. So I went and hung out in the back alley of the jam space in the parking lot with a bunch of other musicians for the afternoon. And sure enough, people were moving out of their room, and there was just this stack of gear building up on the wall. And it was basically people going, I don't know whose this is. It's been in my room for 20 years. And it's
my God.
So I'm I'll take a couple pieces, amps and things.
Yeah, I was going to say, what did you score?
I scored a bunch of cymbal stands, a bass amp, a couple guitar amps, some microphone stands, some good stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
Well, I mean, I loved the rehearsal factory for that because you'd go into a room and you're like, what is that? Oh, I'm not allowed to put my beer in that? Okay. Everything else is fine.
Oh yeah. We used to I treated my jam space like an after hours for a number of years.
Oh yeah.
Basically, we'd be at the Bovine, and whoever I was hanging out with that night in the back room be like, do you guys want to go back to my jam space and order a case of beer? And we'd stay there till the sun came up. We had no idea what time it was because no windows.
Well, that's it. And most of those jam spaces had a nice couch.
Yeah.
There was a washroom with toilet paper.
That's right.
That's one thing I always liked about the rehearsal factory. The bathroom has toilet paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good thing when there's toilet paper.
That's kind of a big deal. I've been to some jam spaces where I'm like, is there a bathroom?
Yeah, totally right.
No, and that's really cool that you're doing a jam space up in Wasaga. Like, how is how are your wife and daughter into this? Like, do they want to join the jam space? Because I know you and your daughter have been making some music as well.
Yeah, so me and my daughter, my 5.5-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
Eden, we have a little band called Glitter Sparkles, and she named it.
Okay.
Let's go with Glitter Sparkles, and we've released 2 songs online already, and it's basically like she'll just randomly say to me like, "Hey, Daddy, I have a song. Can we go jam and record?"
Yeah.
And then we go down here, and I just give her a mic, and I turn on my keyboard and I do it all MIDI keyboard. At first, I just put some crazy 80s synth or something, and
Okay.
I just pull a riff out of my pocket. I'll just come up with 4 chords on the spot, and I put a drum beat right away for her to hear, and then she just starts singing.
That's
And,
wicked.
and after about 5 minutes, I hit stop, and then I kind of delete a part, maybe repeat a part, and then but she has it. Like, she lays down a couple of verses, a chorus. She knows what she's doing. And
That
then I
is
overdub a
awesome.
bunch of guitars and bass and have some fun with it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
She is so lucky to have you as her dad to be able to do that.
I'm fortunate to have her.
Because I mean, I've heard the recordings; they're pretty awesome. I didn't get a chance to upload those into my studio today, so you guys are just gonna have to wait.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And at 5 years old, she's probably pretty honest about what she's singing.
Yeah. Well,
You
the last
know?
song was about cat sitting. We
Yeah.
watched a cat for a week, so then she writes about it.
And you know what? That is a very good thing to write about because cats are freaking adorable.
Yeah, they are.
And they're also butts. Um,
She met your cat.
did she meet Jack? Oh, I didn't know that.
She came, I brought my daughter over to your place one Sunday morning to hang out with Mysterion, but you were at work.
Yes, stupid work.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been a fun play date.
It was cool. It was cool.
Now, what would you say is your most favorite part of being creative right now in this time? Because things are just so strange and time doesn't actually really even exist. In this pandemic, apparently,
Yeah.
cats and dogs are friends and up is down.
I have lost track of my days a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to say. I can say I have a bunch of songs ready to go and some that I'm working on, but really it's been pretty slow over the last couple of years because life has gotten in the, I wouldn't say getting in the way. It's just it's triumphed. We've been busy, and work never slowed down for me during the pandemic. I was one of the ones that worked more. My work got busier. They just sent me home. I was already working from home twice a week as it was.
Yeah.
That was our office culture, that everyone worked from home a couple of days. But then one day it was like, take everything home. I work in the medical industry, actually. I'm a senior graphic designer for a medical communication company.
Oh,
so
okay.
Right at the very top of the pandemic, my boss is a doctor, and he was just like, everyone's going home. Take your stuff and just continue working from home. And that's where we're at.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, stayed pretty busy. And then what happened with people working from home is we lost our boundaries.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and when daycare closed a couple of years ago, before my daughter was in school, she gets sent home, and all of a sudden you find it takes about 11 hours to get 8 hours of work done. So
of course.
I think I went about 5-6 months before I touched my guitar, and I was like, this is fucked.
Geez. Yeah. Well, and I absolutely get it, because all of a sudden you're available to everybody all the time,
Yeah.
How do you set those boundaries with your employer?
Well, we've gotten comfortable with it now. Everyone's gotten so used to it. We were encouraged. It became apparent that everyone was working a lot, and it wasn't just my work. It was everywhere. My wife was working way too much too. It was work from home, don't live at work.
Yeah.
Right. So once you kind of reminded yourself that, it was okay. So yeah, I'm pretty good now with the boundaries.
How did it feel when you could finally pick up your guitar again?
I felt great. They're right there. You can't see it. I got 12 guitars right there. And
I can see them. Look, I'm pointing in the right direction. I see them right there.
Oh yeah, you do. That's hilarious.
No, that's awesome. I mean, as an artist, I didn't pick up a pen and draw for about 6 to 8 months after the first lockdown, because my hand wouldn't move. Oh, so
really? Yeah.
I tried to make the odd birthday card here and there, but I would look at Facebook and see people making these amazing portraits and being creative, and I was just so um balled up. Like I was
Mhm.
just so I guess mentally freaked out that I couldn't do anything. And it's actually making this show that freed up my hands and allowed me to start pushing myself. So I'm making new animation every week and I make this, do that. I've fallen back in love with learning. So learning video editing and blah 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 blah. And it's been a good brain exercise. Like even tonight with our audio issues, 2.5 years ago, I might have been in the corner crying out of frustration. And now
I know
because
what
of
you
this
mean.
right now because of this
Yeah.
pandemic, I'm like, no problem. We
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
figure
pros. We're pros. You're totally a pro.
I'm
I
trying to
would.
be a pro.
I've been at your house before when you've been prepping for a show. I've seen you with making your notes and everything. It's
Oh yeah, you have.
highly respectable. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A-type personality.
Hmm.
Duh. um now, creatively speaking, is there anything on your bucket list or your unicorn list of something that you want to do that you just haven't gotten there yet for any reason?
Oh, that's interesting.
You know?
Well, I haven't released a like a full 12-inch record. I haven't released a full LP yet. I've played on cassettes. I played on
Okay.
dozens of CDs. I've played on 7-inch records, but
Okay.
I haven't made a band or anything that I am a part of hasn't done like a full-on record on their own yet.
Oh,
So
that would
that's
be so
something I
cool.
definitely like. And so whether I do it with a future band or a solo thing, either way, it's just something that I need to do. It's really, really expensive to make vinyl right now, and unless if you're planning on touring extensively or just kind of touring at all, it's hard to even figure out how you're going to sell them.
Yeah.
Not every artist can just sell a record from their couch. It
It's
takes a special
true.
artist to do that. Mhm.
It's true. And that's something, you bring up a really great point that I think a lot of people tend to forget. And most of my viewers are creative and entrepreneurial, so they already have that innate understanding, but
Right.
you have to work every day towards those goals to make them happen, and I find social media has kind of skewed that understanding. You don't go from zero to famous. You have to work every single day.
Right.
Every day.
Yep. Yeah.
Sometimes, well into the night, burn the candle at both ends, do all the tedious stuff and keep pushing because, even just, getting the numbers up in your social media or in your listens or this and that, it takes actual work.
Exactly.
It really does, and um do you have any advice for anyone who, because I do have a lot of younger viewers who are in their teens, do you have any advice to someone who is starting out in the music industry or the art industry?
I don't know. I always like to say, I don't know if I can tell you what to do. I can definitely tell you what not to do.
Well, that's valuable.
Yeah, I always tell people, try to play with like-minded people. I always chose to play with friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it was the right thing to do at the time. It
Yeah.
always was. I've always preferred to play with friends. But one of the biggest pieces of advice that was constantly given to me throughout all my time of being like a full-time musician or aspiring full-time musician was like, hey, maybe you should play with people that are more on the level of you, that are trying to do this instead of work a job, right? And who are
Yeah.
willing to go and spend months on the road, and who are just because not all bands have people, like 4 or 5 people that all want to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I found myself at times playing in a band that they clearly weren't as ambitious as I was, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Like everyone
Yeah.
plays music for different reasons. So if you're super ambitious and there's things you want to do, and you do have some bucket list stuff, or you do have some goals and aspirations, and you don't think your bandmates are on that same level, it won't be that hard to walk away and try to find some other people to play with, because you'll be happier at the end of the day. You won't feel like that, you weren't allowed to try to reach your goals because of other people.
Absolutely. That is really great advice. I always say this, change the record.
Yeah.
Just swap out the vinyl, change the side, You know, you don't like the A side, try the B side. Get the 45, you know, get that EP from Japan.
Right.
You know, just
Totally.
change it up, you know. And that's just from coming up in a very musical background myself. My brother's 7 years older than I am. He used to make me hang out in his room, and I couldn't leave till I guessed the band.
Oh, really? So your
Oh
brother's
yeah.
7 years older. That's the same age difference from my brother and myself.
And I'm so grateful for it because not only can I now guess a band within a couple of chords, like I will literally sit there and go, oh, Anderson, Buford, Wakeman, and Howe. Can I go now? You know, but also like he used to tape Brave New Waves from CBC on tape cassette and give it to me the next day. He's like, I was up till 4 last night because I couldn't sleep. Here you go. Check out this band. They're called Skinny Puppy.
Cool.
You know, so at 12 years old, I'm like, this is weird. I don't know if I like it. And then I'd like it, you know? So I forget what my point was, but it's just like, you know, change it up all the time. Be open to opportunity, be open to surprise. Because I think creatively, you know, process exists for a reason.
Yep.
And that's something that I've really noticed with this whole pandemic situation and speaking to, you know, artists such as yourself and so many different artists and creators and entertainers and entrepreneurs. The commonality is the surprise of adaptability. You know, do you feel like your ability to adapt and hustle has increased?
When it needs to, yeah, when I need to. I don't have to hustle as much as I used to because I don't push myself that hard like anymore. Right? You know what I mean by that? I'm like, it's a little bit different. Like when I put something out, I don't hustle as much as I used to, and it's nice. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Right, but I know how to, and I'm not afraid to, you know, at all. Right, but I mean, I might be talking hustle a little bit differently than maybe you meant. You know, I just meant like, I'm not as like I'm not pushing my stuff as much as I used to. If that makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely. You're creating and you're putting it out in the world, but you're not plastering the entire world with posters and plastering this so that the internet and da 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there is a time and a place for it, and I think it's perfectly okay to kind of focus more on the content.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I know for a while I was very numbers driven. I was like, how many people tuned in? How many people are watching? How many shares? Blah, 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 blah. And I realized that's not the point. The point is the creation and the content and the quality of the content. That's what really matters, because when you do look back at what you're creating, you want to feel proud of it.
Yep.
You know, and if there's any kind of cringing, it's because you grew artistically, as opposed to, I can't believe I did that for 30,000 likes. You know?
No, you can't think that. You
know?
can't think that. You know, because the cute cat playing piano is always going to get more clicks than anything we ever do, right?
Well, and it can be so frustrating because you're like, I put my heart and soul into this, and all of a sudden, the talking bread got 100 million views. Ah!
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, I watch this guy on Instagram now. I'm so addicted. He's like this teenager. I don't know where he is, somewhere in the States, and he runs around putting things on people's heads and then runs away. Have you seen that?
No.
So he'll be like in Home fucking Depot, and he'll grab a pylon or something, like, or a recycling bin, a big plastic bin, and he'll just see some guy, big guy too, with his back to him. He'll put the thing on the guy's head, and he'll run off so fast down an aisle. And then while he runs off, while he's out of sight, so he always has someone filming him from a distance. He takes off his jacket, and then he slows his roll, and he just comes walking back, usually with his phone in his hand, pretending like he's trying to find something.
Okay.
And then meanwhile, there's some pissed off guy who just took a fucking plastic bin out. It's priceless. It's so
he
good.
Clark Kent's them. I see. He like takes off what's identifiable.
Yeah, I got to tell you what it's called because it's so good. I'm plugging this guy. I don't even know him.
He is bold. Oh my gosh. He's going to get his little butt kicked at some point. Someone's going to recognize him, and it may not be pretty.
So it's Marshall Willow Craw. Marshall McCraw. Or something like that. I don't know. But
okay.
This guy right here. Here we go, kids.
All right. I'm gonna go find him.
Yeah.
Oh my
I swear
God.
you won't regret it.
That's so funny. Well, I mean,
he deserves the hits, not me.
Yeah. Well, he will get hit at some point if he keeps putting trash cans on people. But I
Totally.
mean, it's the sort of thing where, it's a great example of content versus creativity versus, you know, flash in the pan in the moment.
Yeah,
I mean, if this kid's just doing it for, lack of a better term, shits and giggles, great. As long as
totally.
nobody's getting hurt, go for it, buddy. But
Yep.
where I tend to get a little frustrated is when I see the pressure to dumb down your own work to get those views, to
Oh
water
yeah,
it
for
down.
sure. For sure. Get it, yeah. And like you said, it's more important that you put all your effort and your positive energy into making what you want to make, and
Yeah.
just don't sweat the views and all that stuff. They if I'd like to say they'll come in time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But
Yeah.
it shouldn't be about that. And we live in such a like in this instant society right now where everything's presented to us right away, and like you want ratings, you want numbers, you want
Yeah.
whatever, you can find it, and that shit will ruin you. It'll get into your head.
It
It'll
will.
it, yeah, it I had a moment like 5 years ago where I started remembering why I played in a band, and it's because it was, I loved being in the jam room with 4 or 5 friends and being honest and making music for the sake of having fun.
Yeah.
But at some point in the early 2000s in Toronto, like Toronto, it was a party, but like we all got really competitive. Like
Yeah.
it got competitive, and like, drawing numbers and selling out little venues like Sneaky D's and the Bovine was such a big deal. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, and like it's like, have fun, just have fun.
Absolutely.
You
And
gotta get
I
those.
I think at some point every artist has to go through that, where you kind of have to feel that desperation for some bizarre sense of validation.
Yeah,
And then you kind of see it for what it is and you realize, oh, that's fleeting.
totally.
I'm actually not really into that. Like, it's great if you like it, but I will be okay if you don't.
Yep.
You know, um, and that's a great place to be. And I truly wish that every artist out there watching gets to that place. If you're not in that place right now, just know that creating is the most important thing you can do. Everything else afterwards is a bonus.
Yeah. Yep. And I think maybe a lot of people had that realization during the pandemic, because you're making, like, for artists, musicians, you're making something, but you might not be getting that instant live reaction, but you start coming to grips with it, and you find the satisfaction in just making and creating.
Absolutely. And Cactus, I love what you are creating. Guys, I really want you to go to Linktree Cactus Vella for all of his links to everything that he's doing. That is the most brilliant sort of nexus I've ever come across. I think it's a great way to kind of connect
Linktree's
everybody.
good. Yeah, thank you.
Linktree is fantastic. Go to Cactus Vela Music at Big Cartel and treat yourself to a shirt or a pin
Thank you.
because I think they're awesome.
Thank you.
And definitely, there's so many other things that you're up to, and I'm so excited for what you're doing. And Shipwreck, that song is my new anthem, and I'm so glad and grateful that I heard it, and it will be on
Thank you so
regular
much, Liz.
rotation on my Spotify. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cactus, I think you're wonderful. I wish you the very best, and I look forward to our next play date when you come on over and we'll shoot the next toy tantrum.
All right, amazing. So happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cactus.
All right, bye.
Bye. And of course, thank you all so much for joining me every week. It is such a big deal that I get to put together a show for you. You all are my reason for being, and I'm always so glad and grateful to be able to bring you a new artist every week who is really thriving, and I'm so excited by that. For those of you who don't always get to tune in, you can see these shows archived on YouTube, but also we are now syndicated on the Carney Show on Twitch on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can see all the older episodes that we've been doing this past year. And I really encourage you to check out Carney Show on Twitch in general, because Jeff with the G is making some amazing content. His show Devil's Hour is amazing. Go like him on Facebook so you can follow everything that he is doing. If you are liking what I'm doing, please be my patron. If when you go to patreon.com/Planet Lizzdom and pledge even just $5 a month, you'll get all kinds of bonuses like instant advanced access to my Peter Rabbit cartoons, Ask Me Anything, sessions, all kinds of cool stuff like that. I'm always building and adding more things to it. So please be my patron because you're helping me create great content for you guys. As always, tune in, turn on, and take part because you truly never know who's going to land right here on Planet Lizzdom. And I have some great guests lined up for the winter, and one of my favorite Canadian celebs lined up for our 1-year anniversary extravaganza on January 6, 2022. You're going to have to keep tuning in to find out, but there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff happening that night. Guys, I want to wish you an amazing weekend. Be well, and I will definitely see you soon. Have a great weekend, everybody.